Every week, new headlines surface. Another arrest, another chemical, another loophole closed. But behind every headline is a life that could have been saved if only we had acted sooner. Today, on Logan's Voice, we're digging into the stories behind those headlines. From the corruption that enabled trafficking in the Mississippi Delta to the latest nationwide data on fentanyl seizures to the poisons entering the supply. Because this isn't just a drug crisis, it's a crisis of trust, truth, and lives cut short. If you're watching this on YouTube, take a second to click subscribe and tap the bell icon so you never miss an episode where we turn headlines into hope. And visit logansvoice.org for resources, stories, and ways to get involved. Your engagement helps us reach more families. And every view, every share, every comment can literally save a life. Let me know in the comment section where you're listening. Let's start with a story that hits hard because it shows how deep this crisis goes. This one's not rumor, it's black and white federal indictments. 20 people were charged in a Delta-wide trafficking conspiracy, including 14 current or former law enforcement officers and 2 sitting sheriffs. The DOJ says officers took cash to provide armed escorts for what they believed were cartel loads, moving about 25 kilograms of cocaine and drug proceeds along Highway 61 and into Memphis, Tennessee. Bribes ranged from a few thousand to 20,000 and even 37,000 on individual runs. Prosecutors also allege Washington County Sheriff Milton Gaston tried to disguise illegal payments as campaign contributions he didn't report, while Humphreys County Sheriff Bruce Williams is accused of blessing the runs for cash. 19 of the 20 defendants also face firearm charges tied to drug trafficking. Along with Sheriffs Milton Gaston and Bruce Williams, the AP lists 18 others charged as defendants. And local reporting adds Sunflower County Chief Deputy Marvin Flowers among those arrested. It notes multiple participating departments across the Delta, from sheriff's offices to city police departments and state agencies. Court records and officials describe 3 separate escort runs between 2023 and 2024 with an undercover FBI agent posing as a cartel member. The allegation is simple and devastating. Badges and guns were used to sell safe passage for cocaine and cash. As U.S. Attorney Clay Joyner puts it, this was a monumental betrayal of the public's trust. Betrayal like that doesn't just break hearts, it undercuts overdose prevention, community cooperation, and every honest cop still trying to do the job. When people ask how fentanyl keeps winning, remember, it isn't only chemistry, it's corruption, complacency, and the cracks where money talks louder than oaths. If the escort car in your rear view wears a badge, who do you call? That's why accountability has to start at the top, or families like ours keep paying the price. As someone who's walked this road as a father, I can tell you, the system failed Logan long before fentanyl took him. We can't fix what we refuse to see. And stories like this remind us that accountability has to start from the top down. Now, let's zoom out a little bit. The DEA reports over 30 million fentanyl pills seized across the U.S. so far this year. That's enough to kill every man, woman, and child in the country multiple times over. Border seizures are actually down more than 50% compared to last year. But that doesn't mean the problem's gone. It means traffickers are getting smarter. Shipments are smaller, more frequent, and routed through unsuspecting channels. Mail carriers, small planes, rideshare drivers, even social media drop points. We're seeing the crisis evolve from truckloads to micro shipments, and that makes it harder to track, harder to stop, and easier to spread. Every time a bust happens, we breathe a sigh of relief. But for every seizure, dozens slip through. This is a system designed for profit, not survival, and the cost is human lives. And as the supply changes, so do the poisons. We've talked before about xylazine, known as trank, a veterinary sedative that's now being mixed with fentanyl. Because it's not an opioid, naloxone or Narcan can't always reverse an overdose that includes it. That means even if a bystander has Narcan, even if they act fast, the outcome can still be fatal. Then there's nitazenes, another synthetic opioid up to 40 times stronger than fentanyl. They're showing up in counterfeit pills that look identical to legitimate medication. People aren't dying because they're reckless, they're dying because they were lied to. This is how substance use becomes the master manipulator. It whispers false comfort just one more time. It blurs reality until the truth and the danger become impossible to see. And for families like mine, that manipulation has cost everything. On to Capitol Hill. Lawmakers have made some progress. The HALT Fentanyl Act permanently classifies all fentanyl analogs as Schedule 1 substances, closing a loophole that traffickers exploited by altering chemical formulas just enough to stay ahead of the law. Internationally, the U.S. has pushed China to increase regulation of precursor chemicals, the raw ingredients used to synthesize fentanyl and nitazene. In exchange for trade relief, China agreed to enforce stricter export oversight. These moves matter, they send a message, but policy doesn't reach the street. It doesn't sit at the dinner table with a grieving family. It doesn't teach a teenager to say no to a pill they think is harmless. Policy may build guardrails, but prevention and compassion build bridges. The crisis has evolved, and so have its victims. Recent CDC data show a 1,470% increase in overdose deaths among older adults between 2015 and 2023. More women are being impacted too, particularly those managing chronic pain, postpartum depression, or anxiety disorders. And rural communities continue to carry a disproportionate share of the loss because of limited access to treatment, transportation, and mental health support. Addiction doesn't discriminate, it adapts, and stigma keeps it alive. When we assume this crisis looks a certain way, we leave whole groups invisible. That invisibility is deadly. Here in Arkansas, there's a mix of hope and reality. According to the Arkansas Center for Health Improvement, overdose deaths dropped about 24% last year, from over 500 to around 390. That's a step forward, and it means lives are being saved. But we're still one of the top states in the nation for opioid prescription, about 78.5 prescriptions per 100 residents, double the national average. And for people ages 31 to 40, opioid use disorder remains one of the biggest health challenges in the state. Rural counties like Calhoun and Poinsett are seeing some of the highest overdose death rates in the country, above 30 per 100,000 people. So while progress is happening, we can't afford to get comfortable. Behind every data point is someone's child, someone's sibling, someone's story. Logan's story is one of those, and it's why I'll never stop talking about this. The crisis is shifting, the tactics are changing, the faces of loss are multiplying, but there's one thing that remains the same. Love is still stronger than loss. We can't let corruption win. We can't let silence win. And we can't let stigma keep stealing lives in plain sight. Change happens when we tell the truth, even when it hurts. When we share our stories, when we hold each other up, when we refuse to be silent. If this episode spoke to you, please subscribe to Logan's Voice on YouTube, share this message, and visit logansvoice.org. You'll find resources, prevention tools, and ways to connect with families just like ours. Together, we can turn silence into strength and tragedy into transformation. I'm Doug Ballinger. I am Logan's voice. I am Logan's dad, and I will not be silent.